So let's now talk about this analytics that I'm talking about. Most people don't know the simple truth. Before we go ahead, please spend a second and do give us a like or a subscribe, and a subscribe or a subscribe, whichever way you like. And let's go ahead. Now, the simple truth is that complicated things are more sophisticated and they get attracted instantly, so they don't try out simple things. Simple things are often ignored and they are thought to be useless, but they can have tremendous impact when you actually look inside simple ways of doing things, not just in the market, but life in general, actually. We did this one video last week, how to find that perfect balance. You can watch it. The link is there. This was a good analytics video there. What the idea that I'm presenting today is, what if you could allocate equally to all these indices and rebalance it on a monthly basis? A very, very simple idea that you could be in large caps, you could be in mid caps, you could be in small caps, you could be in gold. But then the simplicity of it is that, they are all equal weighted, and the profits and losses get rebalanced every month. That is the simple equation that we are going to study in this study. What is the result of the study? If we were to just look at, uh, let's say, large caps. So large caps in the last 9 years has gone from 100 to 320. Mid caps in the last 9 years have gone from 100 to 492. Small caps in the last 9 years have gone from 100 to 351. Gold in the last 9 years has gone from 100 to 339. And if I were to do this combination, that I allocate 25% each to large cap, mid cap, small cap, and gold, where does that combination lead us? It leads us to 447. Can you see the beauty of the simple idea that I'm not predicting anything? I'm not predicting whether large caps will move. I'm not predicting whether small caps will move. But I'm just saying a simple idea that I'll keep them equally weighted. Yes, mid caps have done better than this combination, but I'll come to that. What is the advantage here still? So this is something that, this data probably would shock a lot of folks. The CAGR on the mid cap index in the last 9 years is 19% with a max drawdown of 38%. The small cap CAGR is 14.7 with a max drawdown of 60%. Large caps are at 13.5 with a max drawdown of 28.8%. Gold is at 14.3 with a max drawdown of 14.3% only. Now look at the combination: 16.3% versus max drawdown of only 24.8. So you are giving up some gain versus the mid caps, but the drawdown advantage that you get, the lower volatility, is enormous, right? Versus small caps, it is a gain on the CAGR and a gain on the drawdown. Versus large caps, it's a gain on the CAGR and a gain on the drawdown. Versus gold, of course, it's a gain on the CAGR, but the volatility is much lower in gold. So this is like, mixing four things and coming out with a beautiful new combination. So what we're talking about is the much needed balance and stability is possible just by having a very simple combination. Just look at this. This is gold. In terms of drawdowns, we are now seeing that over these 9 years, gold has gone to maximum 14-15% down. Small caps, COVID times, minus 60%. Large caps, minus 30%. Mid caps, minus 40%. Combination, only minus 24%. So this is the beauty of combining things and keeping things simple. So we'll go one step ahead now. These were the lump sum returns of this study. We will now compare it to the results of SIP metrics. What if we were sipping through these 9 years? And if we were sipping through large caps, if we were sipping through mid caps, if we were sipping through small caps, what result would we have got if we just had these three? Versus if we added gold also to this mix and then compare it with the two combinations. So now we are going to compare two combinations: SIP of L plus M plus S and then SIP of L plus M plus S plus G. Let's see. So we are going to take four periods. One is last 10 years, one is last 20 years, two market peaks and two market bottoms. Just keep it very simple. This was the last 10 years from 2015 onwards. This is the Nifty 500 index. So in the last 10 years, if you shift in large caps, CAGR is 11.7, XRR is 13.5. Mid caps, XRR is 19.9. Small caps XRR is 16.6. These are the index. I'm not talking about stocks here at all. So if you do equal weight on these three, you achieve 16.8. Much better than large caps, slightly better than small caps, slightly lower than mid caps. Now see, when you add gold to this equal weight, you come to a 17.8 figure. Not better than mid caps, but better than the rest three. Last 20 years, in case you thought, last 10 years was fixed. Again, large caps 12.1, mid caps 16.5, small caps 12.6, just 12.6. The combination of the three, 14%. So again, mid caps beating it, but much better than large and small. And if I added gold to it, 14.6% is the combination that I achieved on XRR of SIPs in the last 20 years. What if I started this exercise from the peak? Some people say, I got stuck at the peak. Doesn't matter. If you started on 1st January 08 and you were doing this till today, large caps would give you 12.4, mid cap 17.8, small caps 13.7. So first outcome of this is forget about this combination. Even if you started at a peak but went long term, you made fantastic returns. So don't worry about starting out anywhere. That is the first sort of lesson out of this. Okay, now we compare and we combine all three. The LMS combination gives you 14.8, and the gold additionally will give you 15.1. So slightly better. Again, the same result has been maintained. Number one is mid caps, but then the combination of LMSG is there. Let's take another peak. Let's say January 18 was one peak, and we started there. In the last 7 years, what happened? 14.3% on large caps. Mid caps did very well here, 22.6. Small caps 20.6. LMS equal weight 19.3 is the XRR, but LMS plus G is 20.4%. So again, you're finding the gold component is almost equivalent to small caps in this case, slightly behind mid caps, but much better than large caps in this case. Now let's look at some bottoms also. If you started at a bottom, you were a great predictor of where to start from. The results would be fantastic. So 12.6 from large caps, bottom. So no major advantage is happening whether you started from top or bottom, because your money is coming over a long period of time. Mid caps 18.2, small caps 14.2, LMS 15.2, and LMSG is 15.4. Very, very simple, straightforward diversification and asset allocation. Next bottom we can take at Feb 16. Again, about 9 years of data, 13.7% for large caps, 20.4% on mid caps, 17.3 on small caps. And when we combine this, we also enter at we also get 17.3. And if we add the gold component to it, we get at 18.3. So in each of the studies that we have done, adding gold to the mix has its advantages. Adding these three in some format also is creating a very balanced portfolio. Not the best CAGR or XRR, but a balanced, because you are also lowering the volatility as you go along. So what are the key takeaways from this? That lump sums only have an advantage over SIPs during an uptrend when you measure from bottom to top. When markets correct, lump sums lose that edge and SIPs narrowed and that gap down with the constant averaging that happens. So always try to bring in SIPs or in smaller lumps along the way. Dumping your entire capital just because you're feeling FOMO is probably the worst way to start investing. The LMSG equal weight combination has consistently been in the top two ranks at least, right? So it tells you that having that diversification across across different market segments and doing that asset allocation actually helps in a big way. The biggest advantage, however, of the LMSG combination is that it goes through far lesser pain than any of the individual index, even the large caps. Large caps are seen to be very safe. But if you go back and see what happened to large caps, let's say in COVID, what happened to large caps in 2008 GFC, even large cap stocks, big names dropped 50, 60, 70, 80%. So when the market has no floor, even large caps have no floor at that point of time. Max drawdown on the combination is at least 35 to 50% lower than individual indices. So while individual index can give you some concentrated advantage when the going is in favor of that index, but when you see it over long periods of time, because each index will also go through a lull, At that point, the combination is going to come out and make sure that the journey becomes much smoother with lower drawdowns. This ultimately boosts the chances of preventing a panic exit, which usually is the reason why markets go tanking down. I mean, just give it a thought. Why do markets fall? Because the buyers are so fearful at that time that they withdraw from the market, and sellers are fearful that they will lose profit, so they are all wanting to sell. It is just fear that takes over all of us, buyers as well as sellers, and hence the market tanks. And the reverse happens when the market goes up. It's the greed. The buyers want to buy at higher prices because they think that they will be able to sell higher. The sellers are also withdrawing. They are pulling back. They are thinking that they can sell at higher and higher prices. So it's an auction process. It's an auction of emotions, you can say, that takes place, and hence it's a very emotional game if you do it on a discretionary basis. Another takeaway from this study is that even from market bottoms, where equities are usually outperforming gold in a big way, like October 2008 or March 2020, the results are very surprising. That on the combination, you get 15.2 from the bottom, but with gold, you get 15.4%. So can you see that, from the bottom also, you are getting an advantage of doing asset allocation. The second bottom also is showing the same thing, XRR of 17.3 versus 18.3 for the LMSG combination. So the simple truth basically is that complicated things do not mean that it is great. Simple things uh, does not mean that it is easy and hence it should be ignored. Easy things or simple things can actually be very potent, as we have seen in this example. Very, very simple strategies, very, very simple approach to the markets, very simple rules can actually do much more than what some complicated uh, strategies, algorithms, whatever that be, can do. So you don't need complexity to really make a lot of money in the markets. We've put a link to the newsletter in the link below. Please subscribe to it. There's more details about such studies here. You can also watch this video on more statistics here. So let us know in the comments how you like these studies. And if you would like us to continue with such kind of studies, do let us know. Give us your feedback. What do you like about this channel? What you don't like about this channel? And we'll try to steer it your way. Thanks. Bye.